Brief Captain here. Today I'll tell you about the cartoon Rango. Like our videos if you like them. A harmless domestic chameleon loves to put on theatrical performances in his terrarium. He has no friends except for a partially disassembled doll, a dead cockroach and a wind-up fish. He communicates with them until the car he was being transported in makes a turn because of an armadillo on the highway. At this point, the terrarium flies out and breaks, and the chameleon finds himself alone in the inhospitable world of the desert. He is called to himself by the same armadillo that almost caused the accident. The unfortunate animal was run over when it crossed to the other side of the road. The armadillo tells of a mystical spirit of the Wild West who travels on an alabaster chariot under the protection of golden-headed guards. The chameleon tells him that he is looking for water because it is terribly hot and he cannot survive under the scorching sun. Then the wise armadillo shows him the way to a town where there is water on Wednesdays. On the way through the endless desert, the chameleon gets into trouble. A hawk appears in the sky and he has to run away from it as fast as he can. Resourcefulness and agility allow the chameleon to get out of this situation. When night falls, he stops in a huge pipe. He has a strange dream that he is drowning in water, and when he wakes up, he realizes that someone has drained the water through the pipe straight into the desert. However, the chameleon did not get a drop, but he met Bobita. Bobita is indignant because their city is suffering from drought and here someone is just dumping water into the desert. At the same time, she has nothing to water the plants on the ranch, which she inherited from her untimely deceased father. Bobita agrees to give the chameleon a ride to the town of Sus, where they live according to the laws of the Wild West. Entering the local saloon, the chameleon realizes that no one knows him here, and he can pretend to be a tough guy. He comes up with a catchy name for himself, Rango, and tells how he killed 7 villains with 1 bullet. The regulars of the saloon are impressed by this story, and they immediately become Rango's friends. While the chameleon was putting on a show in the saloon, Bobita went to the bank to get some water on credit. But the banker missed her. Merrimack can't give her a loan because there's almost no water left in the bank. Merrimack advises Bobita to contact the mayor. He's ready to buy her ranch. He's already bought up the lands of many townspeople, after which they simply left here. Meanwhile, bandits working for the town mayor appear in the saloon. They have disagreements with the new guy, which can only be resolved in a duel. Rango gets a gun and goes to shoot, but the bandits are scared off by a hawk appearing in the sky. He came to kill the chameleon, who managed to escape from the predator yesterday. Rango runs away from the hawk, but the hawk does not intend to retreat. He rushes after him. However, in the eyes of the villagers, it looks like the chameleon is fighting a predator. At one point, he ends up tied to a water tower. Rango shoots a bullet at the licorice he was tied with. The bullet ricochets, hits the rope that holds the tower, and the structure collapses on the hawk's head. The townspeople celebrate Rango because he killed a bird of prey. But now they are faced with a new misfortune, a snake named Rattlesnake Jake who did not come to them because of the hawk. Having dealt with the bird, Rango goes to the mayor. At that moment, Bobita runs out of there with a scandal. She did not sell the ranch. The mayor turned out to be an enterprising old turtle named John. He made Rango understand that whoever controls the water in the desert controls the world. After a short conversation, the mayor gave Rango a sheriff's badge because he had proven himself the best in the fight against the hawk. Bobita is sure that the water disappeared for a reason, that there is some kind of conspiracy. To find answers, she goes to the new sheriff, who, intoxicated by his sudden popularity, signs autographs and tries on new clothes. It's Wednesday. As soon as the clock on the city tower strikes noon, people line up, take various containers with them, and go dancing to the huge crane. However, when Mayor John's men turn the valve, no water flows. The mayor asks the townspeople to tighten their belts, but Bobita appears and says that there is almost no water left in the bank. Panic ensues. People beseech the bank demanding their deposits back, and only Sheriff Rango can solve the problem. and he brings order here, drinking his daily quota of water along the way. From now on, Rango becomes the guardian of order, but his natural naivety comes back to haunt him. Noticing how Malay robbers crawl out of the ground, he took them for prospectors and issued them a license, and then even sent them towards the bank. In the morning, all the residents learn that there is no more water and that they are facing imminent death. They turn to the sheriff, who, at the instigation of the mayor, announces a recruitment of volunteers to chase the robbers. Thanks to the Indian Raven, they manage to find the underground passage through which the villains escaped. At the bottom, they find a pipe and follow it, believing that it will lead everyone to water. From the tunnel, the sheriff's team comes to the surface. In the middle of the desert, they find a banker who choked on water and died. The ground around is still damp, and Rango finds a trail with red soil on it. The Indian Raven determines the direction in which the robbers galloped, and the sheriff's team rushes after them. At night, they stop for a rest. Rango is asked what he intends to do with Grim Reaper Jake, and he claims that he is not afraid of the guy. After all, they are brothers, and Rango is immune to his poison. When everyone goes to bed, Rango goes to talk to Bobita. The girl tells him about the wandering bushes, which supposedly can move and wander through the desert in search of water. As a child, Bobita was sure that they could lead to a source of life-giving moisture. Tracking down the robbers the next day, Rango and his men stage a theatrical performance to get closer to the villains, and then try to arrest them. But they have many evil relatives. The sheriff is forced to steal a cart with a bottle from the bank and escape. The mole set off in pursuit on bats. In the heat of the pursuit, the cart overturns, and it turns out that the bottle is empty. Moreover, one of the sons of the gang leader found it in the desert. But the robbers still broke into the bank the day before, which means they must be arrested. The sheriff returns to town with the prisoners, but without good news. He immediately goes to the mayor to clarify the situation. On the boots of the mayor's men, he finds the same reddish mud that was on the footprints of the banker's corpse. Rango realizes that the mayor is responsible for the disappearance of the water, but he can't prove it. The mayor shows him a huge construction site. He has decided to build a modern city on land where the ranches used to be. When Rango leaves, the mayor decides to call Rattlesnake Jake. The sheriff has become too curious, which means it's time to get rid of him. Rattlesnake Jake doesn't keep us waiting. He suddenly appeared and showed the townspeople who their beloved sheriff really is. Jake made Rango admit that he was just a scared imposter who tried to survive by adapting to reality. Disgraced and humiliated, Rango leaves. As he leaves the town, he throws away his sheriff's badge. He himself no longer understands who he is, and so he goes to the road where his aquarium broke. Here he realizes that he must cross to the other side to understand himself. Casting aside all that is not essential, Rango steps onto a dangerous strip of asphalt, and once on the other side, he falls. Desert bugs pick him up and carry him away into the unknown. When he comes to, Rango sees an alabaster cart and golden-headed guards. He guesses that the spirit of the Wild West is somewhere nearby. And so it is. The spirit appears to him in the form of a nameless cowboy searching for metal trinkets in the desert. He makes Rango believe in himself, tells him that it is impossible to run away from your destiny, and then disappears. An armadillo appears, having been hit by a car. Together with him, Rango follows the tracks of wandering cacti, and they lead him to a pipe with water flowing through it. There are boot prints in the red earth next to it. Rango sees that the pipe leads to a beautiful green city and realizes that Mayor John has decided to build a city like that for his countrymen. He will give them a paradise with plenty of water, but there will be a price to pay. Leaving the armadillo and cactus to guard the vent, Rango headed to the town of Sus. But on the way, he stopped by the countless army of moles to ask for help. He came up with a plan to get rid of Jake the Rattler and return the people's water. When he arrived, Rango picked up his badge and became sheriff again. He appeared at the moment when Bobita was being threatened into selling her ranch. The sheriff challenged the rattlesnake to a duel. Rango had only one bullet in his pistol, but he wasn't going to use it. He lured Jake to a hole in the ground where the moles were trying to rob a bank. He waited until the valve was turned and water began to rush through the tunnels toward them, and he watched as the torrent of water threw Jake's rattlesnake into the air. Then the shadow of a hawk appeared in the sky. The villain was frightened, but quickly realized that they were just bats arranged in the shape of a hawk. He shot them and turned to Rango. He and Bobita were placed in the bank vault, which was rapidly filling with water. The mayor spoke out against Jake the Rattler. A new time had come in which there was no place for bandits. Now they would live in a civilized world, but his plan failed to materialize. Bobita rushed to kiss Rango, but at that moment he had a bullet in his mouth, and the girl swallowed it. The sheriff had to use the Heimlich maneuver to get the bullet out. The lead flew out of his mouth, hit the glass of the vault, it broke, and the villains were washed out into the street. The mayor was helpless, and the rattlesnake Jake went over to Rango's side. He respected him because the sheriff managed to defeat the villains with one bullet. Jake took the mayor and got out of town. Since then, the town began to live in a new way. There was now plenty of water. Rango and Bobita began to live together. At the same time, Rango continued to work as sheriff.